Any comments?
Just very quickly, I just want to express my appreciation to Ishmael when he let us know that the concern about the missing street lamps and is being looked at. I guess he's putting together a matrix and just appreciate that is rolling. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we met last on January 16th and the minutes we've all had a chance to review. Anybody have any comments or anything that we need to do other than approve them? If so, if somebody could make a motion and second, and we can vote it in and move on to the next item.
Motion to approve. Second to that.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, those are approved. All right, so we have, looks like 4 items on the action items today. Marina speed study. We talked a little bit about that week, change Public Work Commission meeting dates. My Marina Monday, PP, and discuss California Avenue concerns.
PowerPoint presentation.
We have Kimley Horn, our traffic engineering consultant, is supposed to do a presentation on the speed study.
Maybe she got pulled over for speeding.
Oh. Yes.
They haven't logged in on Zoom? Okay.
Good evening, actually. We are on. Can you guys hear us?
Yeah, but I don't see them on the display. Should it be?
Okay, while we're figuring that out, we'll let's skip item A, if that's okay. We'll come back to item A. And go on to item B. Item B is to change the Public Works Commission meeting date. This was a request by council member, by 2 council members actually, to accommodate Commissioner Jusik Choi's. He's got other social civic group that he is heavily involved in that meets on this same night. And also our Mayor Pro Tem Vischer has another, which she attends this meeting as well. And she also has another meeting on this night. So we want to look at the possibility. This is something that our commissioners can deliberate and discuss and just find a different date that works, or make the determination that you don't want it to change. That would be a majority vote decision.
Tuesdays aren't available, correct? City council meets.
The first and third Tuesday. Let me pull up the calendar. So we have, council meetings are the first and third Tuesday. Planning Commission is the second Thursday. I don't see Public Works Commission on this. Yeah, I'm looking at the city's calendar and I'm not seeing the Public Works Commission on here. So what is not available is the first and third Tuesday or the second and fourth Thursdays. So the first Thursday of the month, I believe, is available.
Are your meetings on the, every Thursday?
Third Thursday.
Thursday? And what about, council member?
Same thing. Her meeting is the third Thursday.
So if we move to the fourth Thursday?
Fourth Thursday is.
Oh, no,
Planning
we can't
Commission.
do that, can we?
Yeah.
So, okay,
First Thursday.
Yeah.
so we could do the first or the third Thursday, if we wanted to stay with Thursdays.
That's the.
Thursdays are good for me, so it doesn't matter.
So first Thursday would be something to consider.
First or third Thursday.
It's
and then-
currently on the third
This
Thursday.
is Thursday.
Excuse me, first Thursday, and then we would certainly want to make sure that works for Jamie.
Yeah.
Who's not with us tonight.
Mhm.
So maybe we could propose the first Thursday, and then when we have all of us, we could finalize that. Would that work, or do we need to make a decision tonight?
That's up to you. Yeah, that's up to you four.
Doesn't have to be. Just approve the first Thursday, subject to Jamie's ability to make that meeting. Yes.
So we could, go with the first Thursday, and then if that doesn't work, we could find another day. That makes sense. Okay. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then let's do that. We will, we can start, do we start next month then? The
Next month,
first
yes.
Thursday?
Yes.
Okay,
So that'd be
so we'll
2
have a
weeks from
meeting
today.
in 10 days or so.
Right.
Or 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
So it's gonna be 6th March.
Let's see. Yeah, correct. Okay, so March. Mhm.
Michelle, you'll send out an updated meeting.
I'm trying to figure out the Zoom thing. What were we doing? Sorry,
Um,
I missed it.
The
First-
intent was
first
to move
Thursday.
This meeting to the first Thursday of the month.
Right.
And I'm using your meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
You don't have this on your computer?
I'm not here. I'm on the other.
Well, where's my?
So you can see it.
Why don't I have it on?
Okay, well, while they work on that. While they work on that, we'll go on to the next item. So are you ready to do the PowerPoint?
Yes, that's, I did that on the zip
Okay,
drive.
so
I have rendered on my laptop.
You guys see it on your monitor, or that's it?
Oh, shit, calendar.
Do they always do this? I just don't know how to get them over here.
I think that's because. Probably should be.
I don't know how to do that.
Because that's what feeds.
I don't know how to do it.
well, we may have to reschedule. Turn the volume down. We may have to reschedule the Kimley Horn presentation.
Okay, Ismail,
Yes.
Ali can share his screen. If he can share his screen, we can present.
Yeah, we are not seeing the Zoom presentation at all.
Oh, when we present it. Okay.
Yeah, we're not
Okay.
able to get Zoom over here on the
Can-
screen, so we're gonna have to push that off.
Oh, okay.
Are you guys available March 6th?
I think so.
Okay, yeah, let's just plan to reschedule that for
Okay.
March 6th.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, we're sorry.
No, not a problem. That's good.
Well, thank you guys.
All right,
Okay,
thanks.
Yep.
Well, my apologies for that. They presented this to city council a few 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, and I missed that meeting, but the presentation was very well received by council. So I think you guys will enjoy that, and that'll be coming up at our March 6th meeting, first Thursday of March. All right, so we're going to item C. You talking or I'm talking?
I can talk. So we just started this program for my Marina Monday, where we split it up into districts according to the city council members. So all 17 of our crew members went out to different areas, residential, commercial, grounds. We went out to different. I never thought I'd need a microphone. Can you hear me? Okay. So we just started this. The first Monday of every month is going to be My Marina Monday. And we split our crew up into sections based on city council members' district. And all 17 members of our crew went out batches, residential and commercial areas, and tried to take before and after pictures of all of the areas that they cleaned up. So these are areas where not necessarily we received complaints, but these are areas where they drove by areas that look like they needed attention, and then they dealt with them. So this is ice plant that was not on a call list. So this was an area that they just drove by, they noticed it, they parked their car, and they dealt with it. So these were just areas of concern that the crew noticed, and then they picked up. These were just things that they noticed throughout the day. They usually on Mondays they have a task list, so they were pulled off of their regular task list. They didn't do anything with city facilities these days. They They just dealt with, there are certain districts that they were supposed to do, and this is what they did, and it was really well received. I tried to talk to a couple leads today to see if the general public walked up to any of them today, and at this day, and they said that some of them were out on the outskirts, so not necessarily were addressed by anybody in particular, but they were pretty well received by themselves. So they felt really well accomplished. They did a lot of trash runs where they picked up, carts that they brought back to the supermarkets. They did a lot of dump runs. They did a lot of trash. They did a lot of pickups with ice plant with debris, and they felt good about themselves. So it was a big accomplishment for themselves in just one day that we didn't have before Ishmael got here. So this was actually a really cool idea and really well received by the crew.
The project submitted, if the people would like to submit something for My
So-
Marina.
So for this day, we're not taking requests. What staff was asked to do is to go out into their assigned sector of town and to do what they would do if that was their neighborhood and they just wanted something done. So the surprising thing to us is how everybody's different. Everybody has a different focus. For some, it was the ice plant growing over sidewalks. For some, it was the crooked signs. They removed a lot of graffiti. You can see here on the left, there's graffiti on that white horizontal rail. So they painted over that graffiti. And yeah, we just want staff to go out and beautify neighborhoods as if it was their own. They're doing random things, and at the end of the day, they're coming back with before and after pictures and a list of things that they did. Here you have, again, graffiti on signs, graffiti on posts or street lights. The graffiti's removed, and these are things that we normally don't have time to address. So we're just taking one day a month to go out and just beautify neighborhoods.
Fantastic. I applaud that. It makes a difference not to see graffiti, and I guess it's a little harder for people to put new graffiti if it's nice and clean. I hope that it's a deterrent.
Yeah, and anything that you had that you notice that is a complaint that you can always submit that to maintenance or online. We have, report a pothole, anything like that that can be regularly done. That's done, Monday through Friday regularly. These are things that when they're driving through neighborhoods, they're assigned to that district. They stop the car and they get out and they do. If it's a faded stop sign, a crooked, they're making note of it. If they don't have the supplies on their truck, they're making note of it for the following My Marina Monday. So, so that crew can go out the following month and do that. It's only one Monday a month. So if they don't have the supplies with them on the truck, they're doing it the following month. But yeah, and then what they didn't get acknowledged with from residents, they acknowledged with themselves, right? So they noticed it, they looked at it, they were like, you know what, we did a really great job, right? So it was, they patted themselves on the back, and they did. Some of our crews work in facilities, so they're inside businesses and city facilities all day long. And this day they got to be outside in the streets, working with the streets and the grounds crew all day, and they actually really enjoyed it. So
Fantastic. It
Yeah.
sounds like a wonderful program all the way around.
it was really cool.
Yeah, we're hoping that as time goes on, we'll notify the public of what we're doing. Right now, we're doing a few trial runs. We're hoping that the public sees people and goes out and sees the guys and says, hey, what's really been bugging me is, and the stuff we're doing is, sometimes there's weeds that grow in the cracks of the sidewalk. That's not something the city normally addresses. The homeowner does unless it's a trip hazard. We're just going in, getting off the truck with a weed eater, hitting those weeds, blowing with a blower, sweeping it up, and just trying to pay attention to some detail and make neighborhoods, like I said, just make neighborhoods a little more beautiful. So the last item on the agenda, actually, we weren't going to put it on here because I don't have an official update, but since it's on here and we do have some California Avenue residents that may want to address additional concerns, we'll go ahead and proceed with it. We'll let the residents express any concerns that they may have, and then I'll give an unofficial update. Tom, Min?
Hey everyone, thanks for the time. Some of you may know me. I live on the corner of 9th and California. I'm really interested in making sure that California Avenue is a safe place for children and citizens in Marina, students of CSUMB. I've seen pretty bad traffic patterns occur at the stop sign and on California Avenue. Even city employees run the stop sign. MPE, Los Animas, many people going to the university or just passing through run the stop signs. May or may not speed. I don't know. I don't have a speedometer. I'm hoping to hear about the speed study to see kind of what that actually says. But I'll be honest, I don't think the street should be treated like a collector where we just assume that everyone's going to go 30, 35, 40 miles per hour down here when there are people who are crossing the street to get to the equestrian center, which attracts children every Saturday. They have programs for kids with special needs. And the students from CSUMB cross this intersection on the way to the Dunes Promenade on a daily basis, maybe over 100 students a day. So I hope that we can come to a resolution to either put in speed bumps, do more enforcement, to change the culture around the pattern of traffic behavior on this street. Hopefully, maybe even lower the speed limit to 25 miles per hour because it really does feel like a residential. And other parts of California, kind of over here, past or not all the way towards Reservation, but kind of in between Reservation and I don't know if it's Rain Dollar or another street down, that's 25 miles per hour. So I would be interested to see if we could change the speed limit to 25 when houses are the main thing on the street. So thanks for the time. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Min Chan. I also live on California Avenue on the other side from Tom. So I get to see the traffic coming from Indian Parkway. They are speeding, and first of all, the road is kind of narrow. It's actually more narrow than even 4th Avenue, which is a residential road, which is 25 miles an hour. I have a radar speed gun, and I have been out there observing for an hour, twice now, for an hour each time. And at least 5 cars an hour, at least 5 cars per hour are going over the speed limit, and not just a little bit. I ignore anything above, below 35. The speed limit is 30. Technically, the speed limit is currently 30. And anything below 35, it's okay. It is what it is. But at least 5 cars per hour are driving between 38 and 45 miles an hour. And sometimes I see a truck do that, but that's very rare. I also see, what I mean is a truck can drive above 30 miles an hour, but not 40, but they go above 30. And I've also seen the MST bus drive fast, above 30. And some work trucks, sometimes throughout the day, you can hear them rev, so they are not cruise. It's a residential zone. So, I drive by cruising. I don't accelerate to my endpoint. I get to 25 and I keep 25 the whole way up. And I know it's not the residents because as I drive on 4th Avenue and 9th Avenue and 3rd, nobody speeds on those roads because people who drive on those are going home. They're not people passing through. So really, I suspect it's the people passing through to wherever they're going next and not to the dunes who are speeding through there. And I've recorded it. Let's see. Also, there are no, on half of California Avenue, there are no sidewalks. And everybody walks up and down there with their dogs. And of course, they use the sidewalk near my house. But past my house and until they get to Tom's house, there's no sidewalk. And I do that too. I just walk on the street. And there are no street lights. and then you see people speeding and trucks coming through. So it's just not a nice feeling. I mean, I just walking down the hill on the road, and then comes a truck and this fast car. It's like, why would I want to walk here anymore? It's just, but this is how other people with bikes get to the other side, to Fort Ord, to CSUMB. And also daily I see someone actually lives on the other side of Indian Parkway. I see them every day. They walk with groceries and their dogs all the way to, I guess, CSUMB. Back and forth on the road with all this traffic driving through. It's not, and so people are speeding because there's no enforcement. And I've also noticed, I was here when the road first opened, and people were kind of wary, like, oh, it's a new road. They're driving really slow because maybe they don't know where they're going. But now, after 2 months of driving, people driving their regular patterns to go to CSUMB or wherever, they're so used to it. They're just like, oh, yeah, from between here and there's a stop sign, but there's no cross traffic, so I'll just ignore that. I'm just going to go all the way to 8th Avenue, where he is, fast, ignoring that they just passed 5 houses on my side and 10 houses on his side. Anyway, I think we need enforcement and something to tell people this is a residential road. And currently it's 30, so okay, we have to accept 30 for now. And I wish people would drive at 30. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak to on this subject or any other subject on these 4 items? So I'm gonna try to in a nutshell give a whole background here. I started December 2nd, and December 3rd I attended my first TAC meeting and was bombarded with this issue, and I had no idea what this was going on. There's a few things here. One problem is that California Avenue is designated as a collector road. It is not designated in the city's general plan. I'm talking 30 years back. It's a collector road. Always has been. It is today. I'm not sure at this point that will ever change. So these residents bought a home on a collector road. And that's, in my opinion, the source of the issues. Collector roads don't have to be have high speed limits. They can be reduced to 25. And as we go through this speed study, my assumption is that will be council's direction, which is good because it satisfies a desire for the residents. It is bad because people drive the way they drive. And what I mean by that is human behavior. It just is what it is. Speeds have always been set by the 85th percentile because there is an assumption that 85% of drivers will drive safely and obey a speed limit. That means that there is also an assumption that 15% of people are going to speed on every road in the nation. I can collect traffic counts on any road in Marina, and if the 85th percentile is driving the speed limit of that road, the posted speed limit, or slower, from an engineering standpoint, there isn't a problem. 15% of people are speeding. That's an expectation, only because we know that's just what people do. Those people are in violation of the law. And so when people are driving, the 85th percentile matches the speed limit, the posted speed limit, then engineering is good. The road is good, signs are good, markings are good. There's no need for additional stop signs or traffic signals or speed bumps. And on California Avenue, currently posted at 35 miles an hour, the 85th percentile in one direction is 29, the other direction's like 26. So that means 85% of drivers are doing what they're supposed to do. There is no problem with engineering. So there's four E's that we consider. The first is engineering. The second is enforcement. When you have traffic issues like this, enforcement addresses the 15% that are speeding. The police department has done some additional enforcement on California Avenue. And part of the problem is that the speeding on California Avenue it's there. There are violations, just like Mr. Chan said, he's seeing it. Mr. Lubo is experiencing it. There's a few other residents there that I've talked to that are experiencing it. It's definitely happening, but it's not happening to a degree that is worse than any other street in the city. They're speeding on every street. 15% of drivers are speeding. So the police department is trying to do additional, have additional patrols on California Avenue. And I'm waiting for a written response from our police chief so I can add that to an administrative memorandum that we'll provide to council and eventually to the public. The third E is empowerment. Empowerment is giving residents of California Avenue and every street opportunities to come to meetings like this, to submit concerns, and to empower them to have a voice and to be a part of the solution. The fourth E is education. And from what I've seen the last 2 months, that is what it's going to take. And a lot of what Mr. Lubau said is, he said he'd like to see a change in the behavior of the traffic patterns. That's going to take an educational component. And my guess is it's going to be something that we'll be working on for quite some time. In 2010, CSUMB did a study, a big wayfinding. They put together a big wayfinding program to help students get directed to parking lots at CSUMB. And anybody that lives in Marina on the north side of Imgen, all those students are directed to take California Avenue to the parking lot. So I was talking to my staff about this, and one of the guys said, "Hey, you know what? I just saw my son going down California Avenue to the school." And I said, why are you going down California Avenue? He's like, "Well, it's in my student packet. This is the way I go to my parking lot." So there are a lot of vehicles on California. And part of it is because CSUMB students are being told to use California Avenue. So part of an educational piece would be to work with CSUMB to make some changes, direct students down to 2nd Avenue, which is more appropriate for that kind of traffic. So it's not as simple as putting up an additional speed limit sign. If we reduce the speed limit to 25 miles an hour, the 85th percentile is then going to be 29, because drivers are going to continue driving the way that they drive. And now you're going to have a ton of people going over the posted speed limit. The changing the sign doesn't change the behavior. That's why the 85th percentile is normally used. As time goes on, there may be different things that we can do. I know that council is working to address the issue of large trucks. There's no update there. It's an ongoing situation that will be decided, but council is definitely listening to the residents of California Avenue and working hard to come up with a solution that works for them. Trying to think of anything I might have missed. The administrative memorandum that I will be putting together is a compilation of all the efforts that Public Works has been doing on California Avenue, Police Department, and also our Planning Department. It will be basically, here's the concerns that have been expressed. This is how we've responded. We'll provide factual data. We'll provide our suggestions, and there will be this is how we can move this thing forward. We definitely want to make California Avenue safe. We all know that our homes are our sanctuaries. That's, after a bad day, that's where you go. That's where you rest. That's where a lot of your memories are made. You sit with your spouse and your kids around the table and you play board games and things. So the home is a person's sanctuary, that it's a sacred place. And we definitely want to make the residents of California Avenue, we want to accommodate that for them as much as we possibly can. Unfortunately, it's just not easy right now. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that we have no control over, like CSUMB directing students there. Los Animas, we've talked to them on multiple occasions. They do better for a while. California stops or rolling stops is something that my guess is everybody in this room does on a daily basis, especially if you get to a four-way stop intersection and you can clearly see in all four directions, just an open intersection. That doesn't mean it's okay. It's just hard to change driver behavior. So I do recall one specific time that PD was out there, and I want to say they cited 3 people for running the stop sign. I don't know if they're Los Animas trucks. That's why I'm waiting for the written report by our police chief. So in a nutshell, we do agree with the California residents. Their concerns are valid. And we're going to do what we can to help them. It's just important that we all have realistic expectations. And what I mean by that is 15% of people are going to speed in front of your house. That's even if you live in a cul-de-sac, 15% of people are going to speed in front of your house. It's just, it's driver behavior. I remember about 15 years ago, I was in a neighborhood and there was complaints of excessive speeding, and we did some traffic counts, and the 85th percentile on a 25-mile-an-hour residential street was like 42, 43 miles an hour. So that's a huge problem. We put 25-mile-an-hour speed limit signs, which you normally don't need to do that in a residential neighborhood because it's commonly known that that's a speed in a residential neighborhood. We put up signs, it didn't change. We painted 25 mph, 10-foot numbers and letters on the road, didn't change. So police department went out and they started issuing citations, and 90% of citations were the residents that were complaining about speeding. It wasn't the residents, the adults, it was their kids. So police department ended up citing like 40 residents of that neighborhood. So their parents were complaining about speed. It was their kids. It was their brothers and sisters coming to visit. And it's, I drive a truck, so my truck feels, sometimes I'm driving slow, and I need to speed up, but it feels like I'm going 70 and I'm only doing 50. These little cars, these Honda Civics, my son has 2 of them, him and his wife each have one, and you get in those cars and you feel like you're doing 25 miles an hour and you're doing 60. And that's what we are buying our kids, because they're economical and they're reliable. And that's why they're speeding in our neighborhoods, because they have a lot of control. They have a lot of power behind that accelerator. So, yeah, I said I was going to try to summarize that and be quick, but I guess I talked for a long time. I've never encountered, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts on California Avenue, and I've never been in a situation like that. It's normally pretty cut and dried. So I don't want to scare anybody, but we also found there is somebody, and we're working to identify the day of the week and the time of the night. But somebody is flying through, and when I say flying, I'm talking 70, 80 miles an hour. So once we identify a pattern, we'll let PD know so that they can post cop on one end and a cop on the other end. That's something you impound somebody's car for. So, and I've seen that a lot in neighborhoods. It's usually 2 o'clock in the morning when there's nobody on the street, but so yeah, we definitely want to do what we can to help these residents. I receive regular emails, videos of people failing to stop at the stop signs, regular traffic requests, concerns. We are taking every one of them and adding it to our list and doing what we can. And we definitely want to work with these residents to make this so that their home becomes their sanctuary as well.
Is this happening at all hours of the day, daylight hours, or is there an emphasis, for example, in the morning? Are commuters coming from Salinas down Imgen and making a left on California to eventually hit Second via 9th, or how they used to do that on 3rd, and then they closed off that left turn on 3rd off of Imgen between 6 and 9. So I'm kind of curious as to who's doing it, or
we assume that it's mainly CSUMB students, the traffic volume. That's our assumption, and my guess is that that's where the bulk of it is. The different problems are happening at different times of the day. So the loud noise with the trucks is mainly during hours of operation for Los Animas. But Los Animas is also receiving large loads of material on Saturdays. We have seen those trucks in our data. We're seeing the size of the truck going through. The traffic volumes are higher between 7 and 10 a.m. and then the evening when kids are getting out of school and going back home. There
so is it
aren't.
safe to say that it's heavy in the morning heading south, and then in the afternoon it would be heavier? Mr. Chan's nodding his head. So that's commuters as well as students.
It's definitely commuters. Yeah, it's not residents of California Avenue or 9th Avenue that are flying through that corner and making those turns. Yeah, the assumption is that it's commuters and probably mainly CSUMB students. They're going back and forth from home to class and back home for lunch and back to class. And I do know that the traffic on California did get a little worse when Imgen Road closed down. So once that work is done, hopefully a lot of that traffic will back to Imgen Road. Yeah, as far as the speeding is all day, every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned that in other neighborhoods, you put up street signs, you painted on the streets. What about those signs that actually calibrate or measure your speed and say it's 25, you're doing 35 or 34? Are those effective? I know when I get those, when I'm driving and I see those and I'm going over, I always slow down.
Yeah,
because I'm always going over.
They're effective. Yeah, they're effective for people that want to obey the speed limit. So I drive past those on 2 different streets every day. And every time I see that I'm doing 27, I slow down to 25. But yeah, they work, but they work for people that want to obey the speed limit. The 15% are probably going to see that and just keep on.
So Mr. Chan said approximately 5 per hour were speeding. So that 15%. Are you able to estimate how many cars in that hour? Is it 100, 5 out of 100, 5 out of 50? Any idea what those numbers are?
We will have that in the administrative memorandum that we're putting together. We have the information. We're just compiling it all and building a story for everybody to see. And we'll provide the documentation for everybody as well. All the data will be submitted. So Mr. Chan said 5 people excessively speeding, I think is what he was trying to explain. People doing 35, 40, but there's still more than that doing.
Yeah, because he said they were, he didn't count the people that were going 5 over.
Right.
Right. So excessive. Okay. Yeah. And I
Um,
just wonder if that's just a way of, it just seems like that's in every city, on every street, in every neighborhood now.
it is, the issue with California is that, you have the additional volume from CSUMB. So, the 15% speeding on my road might be 30 cars in a day. 15% on California could be 500 cars a day. I don't know how high it is. I'm just, it's going to be a lot more. Yeah. So, yeah. So one thing that I mentioned to staff is that, like I said, it's going to be an ongoing thing. There's going to be an educational component. We're going to have to work with CSUMB. We're going to have to look at wayfinding signs to post around town, directing students other ways. When we get to that point, I mean, I would welcome some of the residents of California Avenue to help us come up with ideas. And I say that I think they would want to be, because otherwise we'll be back here again. Well, you didn't give me an input on this, and it's not working. So we definitely want to work with the residents. And like I said, city staff absolutely validates the concerns. We're taking them seriously. What we're seeing is just not something that can be solved by putting up a sign. So let me clarify that. We do plan to add additional signage, including the ones that tell you your speed. We're waiting for the speed study to be complete, because if the speed limit changes from 30 down to 25, those are the signs we want to buy. It's $20,000 a sign, so $40,000 for two of them. We don't want to buy them, the ones that say 30, and then have to get new ones at 25. So that's definitely something we're going to do. Another thing that will solve this problem is when, and unfortunately, we don't know what the time frame is going to be, but once the east side of the road is developed, you'll have sidewalk, curb, and gutter. We'll be able to do bulb outs and curb extensions at the intersections, which slows people down. Bike lanes and things that'll narrow down the travel lane. So talking about driver behavior, one thing that's funny is that if you narrow lanes, even the people that speed slow down. So it makes us feel uncomfortable. So you have 12 or 14-foot wide lanes on reservation, and the 85th percentile might be 45 miles an hour. If we reduce those to 10 or 11 feet wide, all of a sudden the 85th percentile is 35. So right now, there are areas of California that are just very wide. The road in front of Mr. Chan's house is actually narrow, but there's no cars parked across the street. So drivers going north or south are kind of riding the center line. So it's like they've got this big wide freeway. So yeah, once the other side's developed, it'll fix some of these problems. We just don't have a time frame on that. Could be 2 years, could be 20. So unless anybody has any more questions on
I have
that
a
topic, I think we're.
Quick question. You had mentioned that people had purchased houses on a collector street. And so does California still fit the definition of a collector street?
It does. And if it was ever changed, a collector would have to be put in somewhere else. That's why I said I'm not sure that it could happen. Collectors are supposed to be spaced a certain distance apart. If you don't have a collector, you're going to have people flying through the neighborhoods. For example, if we went half a mile to the east and built a new road right through the Los Animas area and told everybody to use that, people won't go another half mile to the collect. They're going to, it's like a cattle path. People just walk from point A to point B. When you direct them around different ways, they sometimes just won't do it. So then you end up with an excessive amount of traffic in neighborhoods because they don't want to go another half mile to the next collector road. So I'm not saying it can't be done. It's it'd be very, very hard, very costly, and it would not be able to be done for, I mean, very soonest 10, 15 years, realistically 20 or 30. So the best thing is to work on enforcement, continue to empower our residents to let us know what issues they're seeing, and to have a voice, and to work on some educational components that hopefully can change driver behavior.
Very good. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Well, I would like to say I'm glad to see that you recognize and looking at narrower streets as a means of slowing traffic.
Yeah, we're it's a push nationwide, actually. But yeah, we're even looking at narrowing lanes on Del Monte, and sometimes you just paint a bike lane and it gives drivers that right side lane and line and slows them down. Yeah, so road widening projects, we do that to increase traffic flow, but we're also increasing speeds, and then you have more dangerous situations. So we don't want to do that anywhere near residences.
Thank you. Okay, that takes us to item 8, Commissioner and staff informational reports. I don't think we have any. We have no correspondence.